what I'll make the case for today is that many of your listeners and viewers are most likely losing their opportunities, not at the end of the process. They're losing it at the beginning because they didn't build trust in the beginning. They just went along with the game, hoping at the end it might work itself out.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi and welcome back to the My Future Business Show. My name's Rick Nuske. I am your host. I'm also very, very lucky today because I have somebody incredibly talented, incredibly special. I'm on the line with the wonderful Ari Galper. Welcome to the show, Ari.
Thank you, Rick. Pleasure to have me. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Now, you and I have been just talking briefly about all of the wonderful things you've been up to. You've been very, very busy. Now, just for some context for the audience, Ari, I'm going to share that you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, speaker, and the author of the Unlock the Sales Game. You've also been contributed to many other well-known titles that we're going to be talking about, and you are the world's #1 authority on trust-based selling, and that is a key point I'd like to point out here. Now, you and I are going to be talking about sales myths, mindset principles, and how to unlock your sales game. Wow, that's a lot going on.
It is, but it's time for a shift. So it's the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and I have to start off by saying thank you. Now, anybody who works with Ari, you'll receive in the mail something like this. It's called, in my world, it's called lumpy mail. It's on the cover here, if you can't really see it, it says Trusted Authority for Professional Consultants. Now, thank you again for that, starting off, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But first of all, where's home for you, Ari?
So I'm originally from the U.S., as you probably caught the accent, but I'm originally from California. Been here in Sydney now for 20 years. I'm married in Aussie. I have a wife online 20 years ago, and been here ever since, 3 kids later.
Fantastic. Yeah, look, Sydney's a wonderful place, and I'd love to talk a little bit about some of the things you do. Now, I know that the world being what it is at the moment, I think getting around and about doing the things we love to do is a bit of a challenge at the moment. But when you do, Ari, what do you enjoy doing with yourself?
Well, I enjoy doing tennis. I spend a lot of time with the kids. I'm working on restoring a plastic car right now.
Oh, beautiful.
So that's a whole project in itself.
Oh, yeah.
And really just getting the word out about helping people out in the world who are stuck in the old paradigm of selling and chasing what I call ghosts and playing the game that no one likes anymore, and just helping them get back to authenticity again and trust.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm going to talk about that in terms of, everything that I've received through the mail. You obviously are, just let me find it here, author of multiple books, including Unlock the Sales Game. You've contributed to the likes of Dan Kennedy's books, along with many, many others. You've got another book here called Trusted Authority, and a beautiful book, I have to say, that I really, really enjoy looking over. It's a great resource to flick through, called Lessons from Toby. Now, I'll let you talk about that in a little while when we get into the core of the call, but let's go back a little bit. And now, if you can remember, as I struggled to, when you were a kid growing up, I always like to, I guess, give a bit of context to the call by sharing a little bit about your life. Now, do you
Sure.
have any memories in your childhood that you can remember that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I did spend a year abroad internationally at uni. I went to the Middle East and spent a year in Israel there as a foreign student.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very powerful for me to see the outside world and different perspectives and open up my mind to what's possible out there. That was a big impact on me, as well as growing up with a father who was a psychologist.
Oh, there you go.
And
that'll do it.
And he left me at night and in bed when I was a kid, and he said to me, "Ari, how do you feel today?"
Stop it, Dad.
So I got comfortable with the idea of being very open, authentic, and not hiding behind the ego growing up. So all that blends into what we're talking about today.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm really enjoying what you're sharing with the show. Thank you very much. Now, you obviously need to look after yourself as a business owner. You're very busy. Now, what does a daily routine look like? Do you have any sports things that you do? What's your thing?
A lot of walking. Live near Bondi Beach here in Sydney, so a lot of walking in the mornings.
That's a hard life.
A lot of university on wheels, as they call it, listening on the earphones as I'm walking every day, hearing some more insights, learning all the time, as much as possible to stay ahead of the curve, because now our knowledge is really what our differentiation is, how much more than we know than the client knows. That gap, the bigger the gap is, the better for you.
Yep, a couple of things here. You're obviously you value ongoing learning. You like audible books by the sounds of things. Who are you reading at the moment or listening to?
Well, I've just finished the book called Relentless by Tim Grover. He was the mindset physical coach of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, and just finishing his way of thinking, and really enjoyed that. Always looking for different, Perry Marshall as well, 80-20 Sales and Marketing.
That's beautiful book.
I'm actually in that book as a case study, but the book's great to read over and over again. So the ones that have the principles in it, the values, things that never change, those are the ones that I'm looking for, ideas around that.
Yeah, fantastic. Those constants, you could say.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been looking through your website, and I'm just shuffling through all of the great material that you've sent through to me, and you've been rubbing shoulders with the likes of Joan Rivers, Richard Branson. How do you get around these people? What is it that has made you so exposed to this level of individual?
Well, it's what I teach, which is becoming a trust authority with people, how to build trust with people no matter what level they're at. And sometimes we feel like we're at the lowest rung of the ladder. Who are we to go move up the ladder? But when you tap into your genius zone, as I call it, in your power, and you know how to connect with people around their problems, and you can package yourself in a way where you're what I call the category of one, then other people notice you. They want to learn from you. And that's been kind of my secret. And the box you received there in the mail, we call it a trust box, because in there is what we call trust assets, things that really send the message about what we do without providing the full solution, because it's premature of the process to do that. But all these elements here add to that, what I call positioning.
Yep, fantastic. And you know what? There's one thing I received in that trust mail, that trust box, which really blew my mind. I'd never seen it before, was the little video player. That was fantastic. Thank you. That was what an experience. I felt like I knew you straight out of the gate. Now, Ari, can I ask you, Richard Branson's of the world, and the list could go on and on and on. In terms of mentors for you specifically, do you value mentorship?
Absolutely. And the two core ones who I've been with in their mastermind groups for years have been Perry Marshall and Dan Kennedy, who you know as well.
Yep.
Both of those people have really helped me get my chops in terms of my direct response marketing process is really tightly honed. And then Perry with very out of the square thinking.
Oh, yeah.
On his 80-20 principle. So those two elements really helped a lot. And then, of course, just reading, picking up ideas. But if I had to choose the two mentors that really made the biggest difference, it'd be those two.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. With the GKIC community is something very special, as is Perry Marshall's book with the 80-20 principle inside. It's funny. It's very true, isn't it, when he says that once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's everywhere.
It's so true now. And everything that I do during the day in my work is always...
It's annoying.
It's always... Well, he says it's now 95-5, not 80-20 anymore.
Oh, yeah.
It's now even more extreme. So you end up noticing the one or two things among the many things that actually are the most important things of all. Like if you got 100 resumes, there'd be one in there that you know is the winner. It's like, you just boil it down to that one or two things among the many things is the things that you want to access.
Yeah, he talks about that fractal moment where it breaks down again, and I guess the 1% out of the 1% of the 1%. It's incredible content. Thank you. Now, I wonder, we always see the success stories. We can talk about, people recently flying to the moon, and it's all success. But for you, what have you learned from failure?
From where?
From failure, from experiencing failure. Or haven't you experienced any before?
Well, of course. I mean, haven't we all? I mean, it's like after 20 years, all of a sudden, an overnight success. I mean, for 20 years, has been very much an S curve. It's like you try this model, you get stuck, it's not working. You try a different model, it's not working. And that took a lot of resilience to be able to get back up and try something new. And that's the hardest part people have, is that they fail in one area and they feel like a failure and they're afraid to try something new. So they don't invest any more money or any insights or resources or time to try a new idea or work with someone new. They just feel like they're going to sort of sit where they are and let things happen as they should. But the truth is, you got to step back out in the game and push to the next level every single time to make a breakthrough.
Yeah, thank you. I want to now sort of shift focus onto the Unlock the Sales Game book. I'd love to know the moment in time, if you can recall it, that you decided this is the moment that I'm going to write this book. Where did this come from?
Look, it came from an incident that happened to me, experience 20 years ago, when I was a sales manager in a software company. Mm-hmm. And we launched the first online website tracking data collection tool. Now it's called Google Analytics. But back then, it was actually cost money. It wasn't for free like it is now. And we launched the first online tools around that. And the big opportunities came across my desk. The leads that came to our website came to me. There were big opportunities. This one deal came across my desk. I called the contact back. We had a great conversation, he and I. It was a big company. You recognize the name. Yep. If I closed this one sale, it would double the business in one go. That's how big it was. Big deal. So he agreed to a conference call and a demo to show him our product. And the day finally came, Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock. I'll never forget it. And I was in the conference room with my director. I closed the door behind me. Big long table in front of us. In the middle of the table was a speakerphone. You know, the old school ones?
Yes,
like
yes.
Star Trek ones?
Yes, yes.
And so I dialed the speakerphone and I called the number they gave me. He picks it up. He says, "Hey, how's it going, Ari?" I said, "Good." And he says to me on the phone, he says, "Let us tell you, Ari, who's with us here in the conference room." And I was like, oh, didn't know there'd be someone else there. Next thing I heard is, "My name is Jack. I'm CEO." I was like, oh, this is good. "My name is Mike. I'm head of IT." This is even better. "My name is Julie. I'm head of global marketing." This is amazing. Wow. I mean, literally, Rick, everybody on this call was a decision maker.
Decision makers, yes.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen on this call because they're all there at one time. So I began to introduce myself. Then we did a live demo over the web of our tools on their websites and ahead of time, gathering all their information. I started showing this to them, how it works, all the information. And I started hearing this noise on the phone call, like, wow, this is great. This is amazing. This is fantastic. They started asking me all kinds of questions. How does it work? How do we install it? What's technology? Who are your clients? And of course, I had all the answers. I was trained in sales. I was competent. I was professional. I wasn't aggressive. I was doing my thing. And there was so much chemistry on this call. It was like a love fest on the phone.
They're always nice to have.
You know what I'm talking about? Like there was no resistance. Like it was just like flowing back and forth and back and forth. And then the call, and I was like, oh, this is such a good call. And my contact says to me, "Ari, this is great. We love this. Look, give us a call a couple of weeks, follow up with us, and we'll move this thing forward."
Excellent.
I said to myself, oh, thank you. Like this was the sale of the year, you know? So I said my goodbyes. I was so looking forward to our next call. And I said my goodbyes. And I took my arm and I reached for the phone in the middle of the table with my hand. As I'm reaching for the off button on the speakerphone, I'm about to hit that off button, and by complete accident, I hit the mute button instead of the off button. By complete accident. And a small click happened, and they thought I hung up the phone. In that split second, a voice inside of me said, "Ari, go to the dark side. Be a fly on the wall. Go where no one's ever gone in the world of sales before." And I pulled my head back for a couple of seconds. They started talking amongst themselves, thinking I had left the call.
Oh, no.
Now, this is not a trick question, but what would you imagine they would have said after a call like that? What would you imagine they would have said amongst themselves?
Oh, I wish I had some, definitive information on paper, maybe.
You would think that, something reasonable like, hey, sounds good, let's look into it, something positive.
Yeah.
But let me share with you what they said verbatim, word for word. I'll never forget it. It's why we're all here today.
Yep.
What they said was this. They said, "We're not going to go with him. Keep using him for more information and make sure we shop someplace else cheaper." Knife in heart twist. Oh. I was in a state of shock.
My goodness.
I couldn't believe it. I snapped out of it. I hit the off button. I looked at the wall and I said to myself, what did I do wrong? I was competent. I was professional. I did everything I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And the first big epiphany hit me, and you can tell me if you agree with me on this or not. that somewhere along the way, it has become socially acceptable not to tell the truth to people who sell, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to say things like, sounds good, send me information.
Yeah.
We're definitely interested. Wait, send me a proposal without any intention of what?
Buying.
Exactly. And then I asked myself, why were they afraid to tell me the truth? I'd be okay with the truth. And I realized that moment, the reason why there's this invisible kind of flow of pressure that flows underneath every sales dialogue you have with someone in your sales process. And it's there. Now, you can't see it and they can't see it, but boy, they can feel it. And if you aren't aware of it and removing the pressure from the process the entire time in your sales model, then you'll always have them feeling comfortable having their guard up, giving you breadcrumbs just enough to interest you and have you chase them without them having any intention of committing. Where you get stuck when I call the dysfunctional sales game, chasing what I call ghosts. People who show interest but don't want to buy from you. You're stuck playing the numbers game. And that became our whole shift called Unlock the Game, where your mindset is a shift away from the end goal of the sale, but instead to build deep trust with people, remove the pressure, and build what I call a moment of vulnerability where they feel comfortable opening up to you and telling you the truth so you know where you stand. You're not chasing ghosts anymore. That became our whole philosophy 20 years ago. It's helped thousands of people now and really revolutionary in terms of thinking.
That's a fantastic story. Thank you very much. It really gives some great context around how this has come to be. Now, fortuitously, I think that you had that experience, isn't it, really? And also, what I get from that is that it's given you a story. And I wonder, does story play a part in your sales process? Is that important?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to give people an authentic view of where you're coming from. They have to feel like you've been there, you've done that. You know, you can relate to their pain, that you have empathy. Yeah. Actually, more importantly, you actually care about them. What a concept. You actually care.
Yeah, imagine that.
About people.
That's a novel idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, I know that, you are busy, but I just want to, for a moment, ask you, do you think that there's always a sale to be made? Or is it something that you can tell in your process that, hey, look, they are leading me on here? What are the signals that you look for?
So the way you detect when you're being caught up in the game is by first, and what maybe we should talk about is the sales myths, is to be able to be aware of these sales myths that are back of our hard drive mentally that we have to take out before we can be aware of these things. I'll give you an example. Number one is the idea that sales is a numbers game.
Yeah,
that's an old school myth where the idea is the more contacts you make, the more sales you make. Yeah, we discovered in this economy now, it's not about how many contacts you make anymore. It's about how deep you go on each call, how good you are at trust building, not how good you are at how many contacts you make. It's a very much of a flip on the model there.
Yeah.
Number two is the idea that the sale is lost at the end of the process. And I'm sure you've been there before where you had a deal pending that looked really positive. All the boxes were ticked, green light. It just fell through at the end. You said to yourself, what happened? It was such a great fit with us. Well, we discovered, and now in this day and age, the sale is not lost anymore at the end of the process. It's now lost at the beginning of the process, at hello. And I'll prove it to you right now in a fun way. If someone calls your office tomorrow morning and you hear, hi, my name is, I'm with, we are a, what goes through your mind in about 3 seconds?
Oh, I'm trying to be sold here. Somebody's
it's
trying to
over hello, isn't it?
Yes. It's so obvious that it's not.
Yet your guard goes up.
Yep.
You pull back, and now it's a battle. So what I'll make the case for today is that many of your listeners and viewers are most likely losing their opportunities, not at the end of the process. They're losing it at the beginning. Because they didn't build trust in the beginning. They just went along with the game, hoping at the end it might work itself out.
There seems to me that there's an element of true, authentic relationship building here. I've mentioned authentic, I've mentioned relationship. Are they important characteristics in this process?
Very much, but I will distinguish one important thing here, and that is that trust building and relationship building can be mutually exclusive.
Right.
Meaning you don't have to become their friend. They don't have to like and get to know you. You don't have to lay them thick with, hi, nice to meet you. How are you today? How's it going on? You don't have to do the old sales stuff, which is build rapport and get them to like you. Because look, they really don't want to become your friend.
No.
All they want is their problem solved. It's like a doctor-patient relationship. When you see a doctor, he doesn't work hard for you to like him. What he focuses on is diagnosing your problem. And that's the model we're talking about here, is how to basically position yourself as a doctor, not worry about the relationship. Because I tell my clients, you build relationships with people after the sale, not before the sale. Before the sale, it's only trust building. And trust building is only the definition of that is when your prospective client feels like you understand them at a deep level, not rapport building, but connecting with them at a level where they say to themselves, he just gets me.
He just understands what I'm talking about. Yeah. Now, you talk about throughout your literature the one call sale process. What is that about?
Well, I'm working on a new book right now coming out next year called The One Call Sale.
There you go.
And what that means is I figured out a system and a methodology no one else in the world has figured out to compress your sales cycle from multiple steps to one single trust-based conversation.
One only.
No follow-up, no next steps, no I'll think about it, call me next week. All that goes away because on one conversation, you can determine if they're a fit with you or not a fit. If they're not a fit, you disengage.
Yep.
If they are a fit, you help them on board with you. So I've got a whole system around that I'm going to be in my book next year, which I'm now teaching and giving away to my private clients.
Well, fantastic. We'll talk about that a little bit more in terms of websites and where they can find that information. But I'd love to, I guess, focus in on a little bit, if we could, Ari, on sure. mindset. Now, if you wake up of a morning and you know you've got an important call coming up, you tend to, I guess, shuffle around and get all hyped up about this. How do you stay calm? What is the best approach that somebody who is inexperienced should take?
Great question, because what we do is we put what we call sales armor on around us. And we get to work because we're ready for the battle. We're ready for bullets. So we get all teed up, right? Our energy goes up. We got to get hyped up. We got to pump, because that pumped up kind of attitude is what protects us from the rejection.
Yep. Nobody likes to be hurt, do they?
Correct. But we discovered that rejection actually is triggered by certain things you say and do unconsciously that cause the other person to push back on you. And if you know what those triggers are, you remove them from your process, you never, ever again experience rejection. You flow right through. And if you want, we'll do some examples today around the principles. I'll give you people examples of what I mean by that.
Yeah, for sure. So I wonder, when we talk to somebody and we don't know who they are and we need to literally learn about them on the fly, is there an art to, I guess, actively listening to someone? Or should you be doing more of the talking?
Look, if you know your target market in advance, you have to at least know what their 2 or 3 or 4 core problems are. You can't be fishing for their problems. You can't be looking for their issues. You have to know in advance what your market's problems are. So let's just say you have a scheduled call with somebody, and it's from LinkedIn or something, and it's a scheduled initial call with someone. You don't begin the call with, "Hi, how's it going? Nice to meet you. Hey, how's the weather outside? How's everything treating you? Here's a plan for today. I'll be doing this at the end of the call." All that has to go out the window.
Yeah.
Because that's sales preamble talk. Nobody wants to hear that from you.
And people know it, don't they?
They know in 3 seconds. It's the sales setup.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to take all that stuff out of your process and instead start the call with this. "Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you as well." You ask permission. If it's okay with you, why don't we start with you share with me a little bit about your situation, a bit about your story, up to your current business situation and challenges. We'll go from there. So you put the ball in their court. They start talking about their situation, and out of that comes their general problems.
Mm-hmm.
From there, you have to go what I call down the iceberg with them. You don't move them forward. You move them down, where you unpack their issues. You have them own their issues and amplify them so they understand the gravity of not solving their problem and the ROI behind the losses by not solving it. So they understand this becomes a priority to solve. Then they can justify the price to hire you. So our model is not, see what happens in normal selling is when you talk to someone on the phone and they're qualified and they have a problem you can solve, your instinct says to you, "Ooh, this is good.
Here we go.
So good, yes." And you can't wait but to tell them about your solution. You're like, "Oh, I can help you with that."
Ooh. Hold on.
Right. But that's what kills trust.
Yep.
They don't want to be sold by you. See, the whole time they're not asking themselves this question. They're not saying, how does he solve my problem? They're asking themselves, is he the one to solve my problem? They don't care about your solution. They care about the way you're treating them. You treat them in a non-sales way and you unpack their issues and you ask this question at the end. You say, is this a priority for you to solve once and for all?
Yeah.
Then you know you have someone who's serious who wants to solve their own problem. It's almost like a therapist and a patient. If the patient doesn't want to own the problem, they're the worst patients to have because you got to drag them through it.
Yeah, it becomes very natural, doesn't it? I really like this. It's a quantum shift to the left almost compared to, your traditional sales approach, which are tired and boring, almost antiquated approaches. I'm really, really appreciating your time and willingness to open up on this wonderful topic, Ari. Now, given that you've traveled around the world, you must have seen lots of different ways that trust and authority and all of these processes are used elsewhere. Do you find that cultural differences have an impact on the success of this approach?
Actually, no. We have people from all over the world that are taking the same approach and the same language, converting their language, and it's working just fine. I'm blown away myself. From Japan, from Russia, from Europe, from the Western countries. Trust is a natural element of the human condition. And we are naturally trust people at our home with our family and our kids. But when we get to work, something changes.
Yeah.
We change our psyche. We get ready for the battle. We just become this sort of like walled person. And then, so it's really, goes down to the human condition. And anyone can use this in all areas of their lives, from selling to relationships. It's really trust-based communication is what it is.
I love it because, it tells me that anybody who's listening on the show today, we've got startup entrepreneurs, existing small to medium-sized businesses across, a plethora of different industry types and niches. It would be encouraging for them to hear this. Now, I'm wondering, when you're talking about this, I get this impression that you should be focusing more on adding value rather than the conversion. Would that be fair?
Well, let me help with that. And I'm glad you brought that up because you mentioned the word value. And we are taught to educate prospects, give value, show our competence, and provide them more information. And I tell my clients this: stop giving value.
Oh, of course.
Instead, provide clarity on their problem. They don't care about your solution. They don't do free consulting. Stop giving away your information. They don't care about that. What they care about is you having given them the clarity on what their problem is and how to solve it. It's like going to a doctor and you say to yourself, my shoulder hurts. He goes, let me take a look. Is it over here? Oh, wow. You got to get an X-ray, an MRI. We got to take a look at see what the source of the problem here is. You get an X-ray, you slap it against the wall, and you tell the guy, yep, it's right there. And he feels a sense of what? Relief that he actually knows what the problem is. Pre-sale, they want clarity on the problem, not the solution.
So it seems to me that a lot of clients, customers, patients wouldn't know what their problems are beforehand. So stop assuming that they do.
Well, great point. Because in most cases, your prospects might tell you what they want, but it's oftentimes not what they need.
Yeah, it's just the steak and sizzle thing.
It's because they see the world through a 180-degree prism of their situation. Yep. You see things 360 because you're on the outside. So they themselves aren't even qualified to articulate their own problems. That's your job as a doctor to diagnose their problem with our trust-based questions and models around that.
Yeah, loving this call. I just wonder, given that what's happening in the world today, Ari, presumably you're doing some remote work. Is it difficult or more challenging to gain trust online? Because a lot of us are doing work that way.
If you're selling the old way.
Yeah, of course.
Now, if you're selling this way, it's easy as butter.
Because that was just an obvious question that came up to me because, you can't feel the room, when you're in front of somebody. Is it different?
Here's the thing. It's not the medium that counts. Live, through the phone, Zoom, speaking. It's not the medium, it's the approach. If your approach is authentic and focused on them, the medium doesn't matter. They'll still pay you anyways.
So this would be, I guess, an automatic and a very effective way to deal with objections from those who have had really bad experiences with questionable marketers and marketing techniques in the past, wouldn't it?
Very much so. Oh, absolutely. We have a whole body of work around diffusing objections as well, how to re-engage with people and how not to fight the battle around that. I'll give you an example, a classic one. And I'm sure heard this before, the one that says, your price is too high.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty common one. Your fee is too high. You hear that?
Yep.
Heard that one before?
I'm not paying that.
But the usual response to that is what? If someone says your price is too high.
Oh, then they just go and try to explain why it is and why it's justifiable.
Yeah, it's fight or flight. You defend yourself or you back away. And you give in. That's the only response people are trying to do from the 80s. But in our approach up to the modern day, when someone says your price is too high, your fee is too high, what you say instead is this. You say, you're absolutely right.
Right. Yeah, and you can't put up a guard against that, can you, when you're agreeing?
And then you say, and here it is. Here's the operative word. It can be perceived as high, which is true. If you haven't had a chance to actually implement or try this to get the result yet, of course it feels high on the outside. But would you be open to a different perspective on how we can build a business case for this so it makes sense for you?
It's wonderful. I'm loving it. Now, if we can, I'm just showing the book up on the screen here. I'd love to talk a little bit about what people are going to find inside Unlock the Sales Game. I know what's in there. I was wondering if you could just give a bit of a summary of sorts as to what's
There's
inside.
some great languaging in there. There's tips. There's different ways to handle an outbound call. It's a great taster of what's possible if you work with us and reach out and ask for help. And it's a great primer that you can get it right from our website directly, get the book shipped to you and read it. And it'll change your whole thinking and maybe even change your life as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, I know that you have other content that comes out with that. You've got, I guess, a bit of a magazine as well, though I found that very interesting. And that's very well worth getting your hands on. Now, in terms of your website, when somebody gets there, will they find courses, content? What will they find?
Yeah, it's right there on the homepage. There's all my books are there. There's also under Work With Us. There's an opportunity if you want to do some one-on-one coaching with us. There's also a group of salespeople, a large group of people underneath you that you want to be trained on this. And then there's also a membership entry point for people to access our library of courses as well. So there's plenty of entry points for everybody depending on your situation.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Now, if you are on this call and you're wondering about how to, I guess, change the way that you approach the sales process, because there is a new, better way that's been, in fact, established for some time now. Given what I know of the book, Ari is the person that you need to reach out to and find him. Now, where are they going to find you? Where's the best place online? I
would start at unlockthegame.com. Just go there directly. It's got a great overview for all the resources. And if you want to get hold of me directly, just go to LinkedIn and connect with me, say hello. Let me know you heard me on this podcast and we can have a chat. That's wonderful. Again, it's been such a wonderful call today, Ari. So much to learn. We've just literally touched the tip of the iceberg on this. This is the 80-20 rule, 95-5, I think. There's so much more hidden underneath the surface of this wonderful call. With that in mind, definitely make sure you reach out to Ari and his wonderful team at Unlock the Game. I will be making sure that the links are made available to Ari and his wonderful team. But right now, Ari, the one and only thing I'd love to say to you is thank you so very much for joining me on the My Future Business Show today. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the call, then make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. And if you're looking for solutions that will help grow your business, then visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.